All right. Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Welcome
everybody.
back.
Hello.
There you go. And everybody, please give a warm, warm welcome to Kim.
Yay. Hi, Kim. Welcome.
Hey, it's nice to meet you both.
I'm so glad you're
Nice to meet you
here.
first time for Deanne and Ronnie. We've been off and on
Yeah,
discussing in different things and how we met and wonderful.
it is good. It is good. So,
Yes.
how's everybody
Yes.
feeling today?
Oh, it's another day. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. We're halfway there to the weekend. I'm
Yes,
good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I think I'm feeling pretty darn good today.
Good. Good.
Mm,
That's how we
It's a good
should. I
day.
mean, it's hard this time of year. We have some of us have temperatures in the teens, while others of us are nice and warm.
In the 70s, yay.
Yes. Oh, you're so
So
lucky.
jealous. So jealous. Texas is having a cold front and it is not
But
nice.
Yeah,
what's
they
a cold
are.
front in Texas? Like 30?
Yeah, yeah,
I would love
yeah.
that. That would be a January thaw up here.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying it's a lot for us Southerners, honey.
Oh,
So
yeah, no.
yeah.
Yeah, we're the Northerners up here.
Uh-huh.
That is not a New York accent.
No, but it's still cute. It's
Yeah.
still cute.
Cute.
All right.
Okay.
So Kim, hello and welcome to our podcast. Seriously, we are so happy to have you here. Thank you. So let's start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do
No
you do?
pressure.
What do you do? Yeah.
I do a little bit of everything. I do medium readings. I do hypnosis. What we call the block of five. I help people with healing, going through their traumas in sessions and things like that. And I am currently working on the light body to work with the chakra system and then also to go into your energy body. So that's what I'll hopefully be a teacher pretty soon. So next couple
Wow, that
months.
was a lot.
Wow.
Okay, Deanna, did you catch all that?
Yes, but I'm curious, what did you say, the 5 blocks? Did
The
I hear that
block of
right?
five,
The
yeah.
block of 5, what is that?
You just basically we have five different meetings and it's usually anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours. And each time we go over different things like they have to write in a journal. Then they do the Hopoponopono. We call in the archangels to do some healing, and then we just kind of go over and talk out their traumas. And then also I call in my spirit team and their spirit team to kind of give them the answers they really truly need to hear. And just try to really get those out, dig really deep. Sometimes we get those in, you get those in hypnosis too, as well. But sometimes you just need to just talk some things out first before that. So I've kind of integrated the hypnosis in with this block of five. So, and then after that, you give them a few times off, and if they need to come back for more, we have them come back for more. So it's wonderful.
Wow.
It
I
works
love that.
tremendously.
Incorporating the Hopopopono prayer is wonderful because I have seen so much with that. I'll use it. I mean, a lot of people will use it just for whenever you're feeling stressed. I know people who've said that like just over and over again when they're going through a hard time, and between the repetitiveness and the movement, that really is a strong prayer. Um, and that's really nice because I've never really heard anyone who actually incorporates it into their practice like that before. So that's amazing. What a great thing that must be doing.
I was
Yeah,
about
and you
Um,
to
have
ask
them write their
this.
own words. They look in the mirror and they have to
yes.
write these words down. Then they also have to sing a short phrase of that Hopoponopono, and it
Mhm.
helps them to release things. But once they write it down, and then we kind of go over that in a more in-depth way at the next meeting. So it's extremely helpful. I've
Wow.
actually have helped people that have autism. People
Wow.
that have a struggle with actually feeling emotions. And it's helped them as well. It takes a little bit longer to work with
Mhm.
them, but they sure have a lot of blocks, and it helps them to release those blocks. So it's very rewarding to do.
Wow.
That's something
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask him. How long? Tell me about this block of five. I don't know, what do you call it? Is it a different type of session maybe? But how long does it take? Is it called a block of five because it takes 5 days maybe? Or
5 weeks, 5 weeks.
oh,
You
5
you meet,
weeks.
yeah, once
Oh,
a week.
wow.
You meet. the first one's probably about 2.5 hours. We do a full reading on them to clear them of the energies that are attached to them, then ancestral, their past life resonances, and many different things. And we go over that on the first one. And it's kind of like to get to know each other at that point too, as well. And then we play a healing song, and then we do kind of like the Reiki healing, but we call it psychic surgery on them, and do that the
Mhm.
first session. And that's usually probably about the point. And then you give them homework for the next one because that's usually a lot of information in the first one. Yeah, and I kind of did a little bit with that with a few of them, but yeah, and then you just kind of go from there. Each one, everybody's different, so you just kind of go with each one and what they truly need and help them to release a lot of that trauma and the energy that's stuck in them. So
Wow, that is so
Yeah.
cool. I love that. So, I know that you also do quantum hypnotherapy.
yes. Mhm.
Yeah. Tell me how that relates to that.
The hypnotherapy, it gets on a deeper level. I feel like it takes the ego out of that situation, kind of like what we do when we put them under as well, with the block of five. But the hypnosis, it takes you on many different levels, and of course, everybody's different. They go to past life or they may go to the current life, and see that. It just depends on what their spirit team really wants them to see and what they need to deal with at this point in time and what's best for them.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Can I say just before we go any farther, we're talking about the hopopo. I usually put too many syllables in there. Hopopopono
Ho'opo'ono.
prayer, and we should probably talk just a little bit about that in case anyone is wondering um
Good ch
what
good
that
call.
is. So I don't know, Kim, if you want to give the background of it or if
Sure.
you want me to, either way. But yeah, you do
Either
it.
way,
You
I
do
can
it.
do a
You
little
do
bit
it.
of it, and then you
Yeah.
can probably, spin off of it because usually the ones that we use, I know there's a whole song that's probably like 17 minutes long,
Yeah.
and you sing along with it. But when we use it in our program, it's basically when you're looking at that trigger that you have or whatever that's bothering you at that point, you look at that problem and you just, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And then the opposite is, um, I forgive you, I'm sorry, thank you, and I love you. So it kind of goes both ways because if
Mm.
sometimes somebody did something to you and then vice versa, the karma that you kind of go through as far as that the hopoponopono, um, just, it helps you to relieve a lot of that stuff that you're just holding on, whether you've done it to somebody else or that somebody has done to you. And just singing that song, we usually have them sing that song at least 7 or 8 times with each word because and then that brings on the tears, which is a release, of that. So, yes.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I never thought of using the second way backwards as a means of forgiving somebody else or, letting go or forgiving a situation. I know that I took part of one of Joe Vitale's classes. I didn't actually finish it, but they were talking about how the prayer works, and it's really almost a prayer to yourself where you're apologizing to yourself, you're asking yourself for forgiveness, you're thanking yourself for the forgiveness, and you're sending yourself that love. And from my understanding is the more that you repeat that, the more that healing goes through you as you begin to actually allow yourself to forgive yourself, allow yourself to accept your own apology, and allow yourself to love yourself. And when you hit that breakthrough, that's when the prayer goes out and starts healing everything else. Because part of that prayer is that you can use it to heal all kinds of things. I know somewhere in one of Joe's books, it talked about somebody who was able to heal like a large group of people just by repeating it because he says it goes back to his ancestors and you heal it on an ancestral level and that healing carries forward and then spreads out. I may not have that as a completely accurate quote in terms of how it works, but I remember that it's really can be so powerful. And to include that into your healing technique is just fascinating. And I just love that. And I think we should probably, if we can get a link to that song, we'll put it in the comments because I've heard it before too. It's just very very nice. I mean, that prayer gets me through a lot, and I think it gets a lot of people through a lot. And I love that you're using it in such a positive way. And it sounds like it really helps because you're clearing things, you and your team, right? Um,
Hmm.
I love that. I love that. That is so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems to work it's very rewarding to help people. I mean, you when you're helping people heal themselves, it heals you too as well, you know,
Yep.
and it raises your vibrations and your frequency up as well. So yeah, it's wonderful to help people. Yes.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So now talk a little bit about your quantum hypnotherapy.
The hypnotherapy. Yeah. I thought that's kind of what I was leading into a little bit ago. Yeah, the quantum healing, you know, you just put people down in that level and just relax their mind. Um, you know, I do a little bit of breathing before then on some. It just depends on their, you know, how their reaction. If they're super nervous, you know, or they're putting a lot of stigma on themselves, and so you have to have them just really just let it go, you know, and just relax, and whatever happens happens. And so, yeah, and it's very nice to see people going through. You know, some of them go through past lives, some of them don't. I've had some that go to their current life and have to deal with their childhood at this point, and then also deal with going forward. You know, it's like their higher self is trying to show them, like, look, you need to heal this child that was 5, 6 years old, and then and at this stage, and how, you know, and kind of heal from that point going up. So that's very, very nice as far as the hypnotherapy. What else on that? They just help a lot of people with a lot of different things. You know, some of them want to quit smoking or the weight loss. You know, we deal a little bit with that as well. But I prefer to do the actual the healing part of it. You know, you do the clearing of the lower vibration energies, and then you rebuild them with raising their chakras up and getting into a good place, and so that you can have a true connection with their higher self, higher consciousness, and get some answers that they have. You know, a lot of times they have lots of questions, and you try to get some answers for them, and you ask the higher self these questions. So it's very rewarding for each, you know, each individual and where they're at in their process of healing.
Mhm, mhm.
Oh,
Cool.
I can speak for someone who's had sessions of it, Ronnie, when I've worked with you. I know it's a little different because we were doing it online, but it's the same basic, and coming out of one of those sessions, you feel just so, I don't even know how to describe it. You come out, I come out super energized usually. I come bouncing out of it. So I just, yeah.
I kind of find it interesting. I think you kind of come out a little light, exactly what you're saying. You know, you're
Mhm.
super energized, but then you've got this undercurrent of like, oh, I could kind of take a nap and just, you know, kind of be in this energy feeling. You're
Mhm.
not really super tired per se, but I guess almost a little bit more like worn out,
Mhm.
maybe
I
a
can,
little
yeah.
bit,
Hmm.
maybe. Like, you know, you just kind of, you know, you're a little the other kind of worn out tired, you know, instead of the exhausted, sleepy tired, you're just a little more worn out, I think
A lot
sometimes.
of
But
information comes out of
it's
that, you know.
kind of
Yeah.
just an undercurrent, but you feel energized and yeah, but I don't know, Kim, talk about it. Why do you feel that way afterwards? Talk about all that information that comes up.
You know,
Come
you do
on.
you feel very, very energized when you come out of it, even as a client and as a practitioner.
Mhm.
Afterwards, it's a lot of volume of information in that because sometimes you don't catch that in that session, but when you go listen back and things just kind of pop in your head. So I think it's sometimes you know, it's a lot of information that you're downloading, and so you feel very energetic. And then afterwards, being in the 3D world that we're in, you know, that's a lot of energy. And I'm always like ravaging hungry when after
Mhm.
about 2.5 hours of doing that. So, you know, you kind of have to take a nap and just kind of absorb all that information because you're in a higher frequency and that you're not used to on a daily basis. So I think that's why you get worn out afterwards after a few hours and have to sleep on it before you really listen to your messages on the playback. But yeah,
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't, I don't listen to the messages for probably a couple days at least. I just, like, I'll know they're there and I can do the playback and I can listen, but I don't remember all of it when I do it. But yeah, I find it so amazing that, both of you guys do this kind of healing work. And like I said, as somebody who's been on the receiving end of receiving a treatment or a session or however you want to say it, it's amazing. It's just amazing the things you find out about yourself, and I mean, I saw past lives, and, it was just so amazing because I've already seen some of them in prior hypnosis, and I didn't know how much more I would see, and I saw things that were totally different from the other things I experienced, and just the way that you can just trust and go right under, and everything is it's I don't know, it leaves me kind of, like, speechless because it can help people in so many ways.
Do you wanna talk about when you saw Lumeria a little bit? Tell Kim about your experience with Lumeria because
Yeah,
I think that was one of her biggest. I'm gonna
yes.
speak a little bit for you from my perspective. Like, my perspective was when Deanna hid her past life in Lemuria, that was just, to her. It was so and it was a really cool. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it was a
like, it
tragic
was
time in
so
Lemuria, but
cool.
yeah. Yeah. I, um I might not remember all of it right now, but, I was working on a mountain with, plants, and I know that you know what, Ronnie? It's funny. I can't remember exactly what we were doing, but I can see it inside like these greenhouse things. And we were doing something with plants and helping them grow and doing something. We were up on the mountain. Down below was like the big crystal. It's like an octagon crystal. And that I had seen in a previous spontaneous journey that I went on with my spirit guides way before. Well, not way before, but before I was doing all this with Ronnie. And I knew it was there, but then the earthquake started and we had to go and we're gathering up as much as we could and we're racing down to the water's edge
So
and we're
cool.
having to go on boats. What did you I'm sorry. And we needed to get away, and what I remember seeing is, like, this ring of mountains around us as things were just everything was just shaking and falling apart, and so we had to go through out into the area that we hadn't been before. We had to go out, and we ended up on my boat with my group of people. We went somewhere where there were other people, not the same as us in terms of doing the same things, because we were way outside now. We were outside the ring of mountains. We were not in Lemuria anymore, and, we tried to teach how to cultivate and how to grow to these people, and things would cultivate and grow, but they didn't do it the same way because we weren't in the same place anymore, and that kind of brought our collective energy, like, coming from 5D down to 3D instead of coming from 3D up. And I remember that the end of that life was profoundly beautiful because we just kind of floated away, like we died, right? But the physical body didn't matter, and we just and I remember just being in that place where it was like you're just kind of floating in the sky, and everything was just so peaceful, and it was really fascinating. And that's like a very bare bones description of what happened during that accounting and that journey, but I would have never thought about that if I wasn't there. You know what I mean? I mean,
I
mhm.
I learned so much through that experience listening to you. I had no idea, Kim, all about like she was, I mean, it was one of those good long sessions, and she
Mhm.
was really talking all about what was going on in Lemuria. I had no clue. Like I had, anyway, just didn't know. And it was amazing.
It was great, and, like, before that, I had gone like, we had the big eclipse in April, and we were in the path of it to have the total eclipse, and people are all
Yeah.
kind of freaking out around here, "Oh my god, the energy, either the whole world's gonna blow up, or the aliens are gonna come, or we're all gonna have great psychic experience," whatever people were believing, and I was like, "Well, I have, like, 15 minutes, let's go see what can happen," so I just asked my guides, "Take me where I need to go, let's use this," and I went there where to the Lemuria place, but it was different because I was up on the mountain with my guide. I wasn't myself that I was back then. I was myself now visiting, and we went into the big crystal octagon kind of room, and there was like a pedestal in the middle, and it was so beautiful. And they showed me how the star seeds are created, where they travel on a blue light going off the pedestal, and then it goes into wherever souls are created, and they have like this contract to merge. And so they're gifted not remembering, so you grow up and you don't think you're any different until something clicks and your star seed starts to activate and you become into who you really are. And what's fascinating about that, just for more validation, because I will talk forever if you let me, um is about 3 weeks later I got my Unity Field Healing certification with Dr. John Ryan, and his whole teaching is from the Syrians who used the blue white ray to travel. And that was my 100% validation that, like, because, a little part of you will still say, was I really making that up? And even though you believe it, you still go, but did I really? That completely validated 100%. And then to go to that Life in Lemuria with Ronnie during the session, I was like, oh, okay, it all made sense. So that was my experience with Lemuria in a nutshell.
So
It was
all the
really
pieces of
cool.
the puzzle coming together then. Your
Yes.
guide saying, here's confirmation to prove you, like, here it is. And then having that
Mhm.
scene, that's wonderful that you get to see all that in person because you're right there in it when you do it. Do you mind
Yes.
me asking, like, when you guys came to the higher self questions, like your higher self was asking, like, why it was showing you that scene at that time? Like, what information was you supposed to get out of that scene? Do you recall by
Do you remember,
Remembrance.
chance?
Ronnie? It's fuzzy for me, to be honest, because I was channeling
Yeah.
right after that, and it all
Oh,
kinda.
It was remembrance because at that time, I think it was like about give or take the second or third session. We
Mhm.
maybe it was only the second, maybe. Second or third, I don't recall, but right in that early beginning time. And so it was for her to remember because it has to do with her spirit guides.
Mhm.
For her to
awesome.
remember so that that way when her spirit guides come in, she's understands better,
Mhm.
understands her role better. So all about remembrance.
Yep, and I also
Awesome.
I also asked specifically if I could go back just as far as possible. Just as far as I could possibly go. And I don't mean if that means that my soul was
Hmm,
sparked in Lemuria or if that was just as far as I could possibly go at this time.
I don't
But
remember that.
I don't know if I even said it out loud, but I remember I wanna go
Yeah,
back just as far as I can, because I
nice.
wanted to see, where am I gonna go, Am I gonna go to dinosaurs? Am I gonna go to protozoa?
I
Am I
really
gonna
want to go back to dinosaurs. I want to see. Ah, there were not
I
a lot
wanna
of
see.
humans around during that time. So yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't even know, and this may be just my own ignorance and doing enough research about it, but I don't know where that time frame fits into our time frame. I feel like it doesn't. I feel like it's out of this whole time because I think we made a dimensional shift and came
Mhm.
into 3D and then we had to just bring it all up again
Yeah.
like we're doing now.
Yes, I
Kim,
agree.
do
Mhm.
you know which Atlantis, Lemuria, which came first?
I think they were simultaneous, weren't they?
That's
That's
what
what
I
I've
was
heard.
thinking.
That's what I've been
Okay,
told
so
that
I
it.
was thinking, okay. And so yeah, okay. I thought so too, but okay.
Well, I from some of the stuff I've read hints at some conflict between them. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't remember where I read this, but that there was like some of it was more technological, some of it was more nature based, and there was a conflict between them. Don't quote me on that. But I do know the title of a very, very good book about Lemuria that and I'm not sure, Kim, are you familiar with Cryon?
A little bit, not very.
Okay.
I mean, I'm familiar with it, but not enough to really speak about it, so I'm
Okay.
not sure on
Okay.
that one.
I'm doing like such an amazing, interesting thing in looking in my
You're fine. You're
my
fine.
phone. It's called The Women of Lemuria, and it's by Monica Morani, and she's Lee Carroll's partner, and they work together with
Oh,
Cryon,
okay.
Oh, that might.
and
Yes.
Oh,
it is so good. And I'm only halfway through it, but
Oh, you'll have to send me the title. What you
yeah,
said,
yeah, we'll
Women
put that
of.
in the comments too, and I'll send it to you because
Perfect. Yeah.
it's really eye-opening about a lot of the things and this is all channeled stuff. It's not like we can just look it up in a book.
Right.
Um, Really fascinating to read that. Um, and just to hear about how everything was and to validate, and it's good for anyone who's out there who like has a dream or has an experience, goes on a journey with their guide or something to say, whoa,
Yeah.
somebody else is writing about this, there's your validation,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
because our human brains still need that. Our spirits know, our human brains are the ones that dig their heels in and say, no, I
Hmm.
want proof. That's how I am. So yeah.
mm.
Very true.
Yeah.
All right, Kim. So talk about this light body work I've been hearing so much
Oh my
about. I am
gosh.
so excited to hear about this. Deanna, this stuff is very cool. I can't wait for you to hear
Okay.
this.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. You know, you basically you start out and there's different. They teach you how to work with each chakra, but they call them a little bit different in the light body. And you activate it and you open it up and you pull that energy up to the next chakra and to the next one, and it comes up. And then it has you go to what they call the flu Felonia. It's hard to say sometimes. You know, you go
That's
back
okay.
into your heart space and you kind of go out, and it's kind of like going under hypnosis. You're going out into the astral, and then you go into your light body. And you know, it's really ironic that we're seeing all these apparitions and stuff in the sky because that's exactly the light body. You go
Mm.
into your light body and you're spinning around, and you've got sparkling energy, and just you're in this bubble, and you just spinning around and different up and down, sideways, spinning, and things like that. And that's what helps propel you to go in and around the astral world. And it's very fascinating. And
Mm.
it helps you raise your vibration, and it's kind of like putting the bubble, you know, because you're supposed to protect yourself every day. But it is very fascinating because I've experienced some of the things that some of the others haven't yet. And so it's like, okay, is this normal, you know? Because you know, I've went into that, and they just do that, what they call saha, and you just go, and you jump, and then all of a sudden I felt my wings just come out, and I just started flapping wings and started just flying. And it's just like, how come nobody else
Nice.
is doing this yet? So I'm still in the early stages of learning of how to do that part. But it's nice because you're activating those energies and you can control those energies. That's what makes it nice. It helps you learn how to control those energies, to expand your energy out, you know, all the way out through the universe. Or if you just want it in a pinhole, to collect that energy, and just because you need it, you know, and so it helps you just go, and then you know, it helps you just put a circle around yourself, and then you just pop out. You just pop right out and just go into the astro and just go wherever you want. You know, some of the journeys I go to the higher beings, and they teach me energy work and how they do things on their planet. Um, there's just so much involved in that, and it's very fascinating. I really like the light body, and it feels like everything that I've come across, whether it be hypnosis, the block of five, the spirit alignment therapy, all those things, once you start healing, you're ready for the next step. Is like, what do I do next? You know, as you're doing the healing. And this light body is, you know, working on your energy, because that's one of the things that we're supposed to master here is to manipulation of energy, your own energy, and remembrance of that energy that you truly are. Um, so it goes into that, and it teaches a lot of that in this class. They have it very, very well protected, um, because they don't want someone to take it and add different things to it, you know, because it's
Right.
very, you know, very sacred. So it's
Mm.
you know, so yeah, it's a fascinating thing, and you work with that every day, you know, just to raise your energy and do your protection bubble, you know, what they call, you know, the Renari bubble, and then you could just go float out. It's easy. Like under hypnosis, it takes you a little time, you know, Ronnie, as far as that, but this is kind of
Mhm.
like an easy way to just pop out and go straight there. You know, everybody's at a different level. Some of them don't feel that energy, but I could feel all those energies as it's coming up. And as I was going through the course, you know, you like probably one a week, because there's several modules that you have to do, and then go to the classes. Had stuck energies right up here, and it's because I hadn't gone to the next step to release that energy and just, you know, put it out. And so it teaches you how to fill the grid line, because you know we're building the grid line. Everybody before us has built that
Mm.
grid line. You put your extra energy in this grid line, and you could travel on this grid work and things like that. And it's fascinating because a lot of things that I'm seeing in the light body is a lot of things that I got pieces of the puzzle whenever I was in hypnosis as a client, you know, for the classes that we had to take. So it's helping me bridge those pieces together.
Mm. Nice. Did you
Wow.
mention something about teaching it maybe?
Yeah, I'm going to probably in March, you know, I'm taking the
Okay.
teacher's course now, and then we're going to take another course as far as the teacher one. So, me and the lady that's teaching me now, she's been doing this for probably 10 years, but she's just now started teaching our class, you know, fellow students. She was also went to the spirit alignment therapy. So she's kind of like practicing. And so, yeah, we're going to be teaching probably roughly around March. And I'll probably will put that out on my Facebook page, and, you know, get the information out. So we're building in that process now of how we want to teach it which each week and what works best for students, to get that, because that's where we all need to be, once you do the healing and you get
You
past all that
signing up
stuff.
with me, Deanna?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I know it might be too early, but will you be teaching it online or will it be strictly an in-person?
Up online, because there's people all over the
Excellent.
world. We get people from Scotland, India, just all over, that want to do
Mhm.
this. So, yeah, we're teaching it
Excellent.
online. So I'll let you guys know when we get started on that, and we're building that that curriculum and things that how we're doing that. So yeah, it is
Yeah.
fascinating
So
and
excited.
wonderful.
And
And
we'll put a
everywhere you
blurb up
look,
here too. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with. I mean, I don't know. It's far out there, but for some, is the Ascension Glossary. If you really want to dig on information, um, that's up in the higher realms,
Mhm.
Ascension Glossary, and they got a lot of information. It would take you years to go through it all because you learn something and then they got a hyperlink. You click on that and that goes into another rabbit hole that teaches you things, but they all involve around the light body, and that's in the 12D, 12 to
Wow.
15D. Hmm.
Wow.
So
Oh,
yeah,
that is amazing. And that's just, that's a website you said, right?
the Ascension Glossary, yeah. Hmm.
Ascension Glossary. Cool.
.com?
Yes. It's very fascinating. They have an app too as well. There's
Okay.
a few courses on there. I haven't taken any of the courses, that they have shown. I believe a lot of it is free because it's just
Mhm.
they just want to get the knowledge out there for everybody to learn this. So yeah, it's a
Love
beautiful
that.
one, but it's not for everybody. You may look at it and tool with it, and you're like, wow. If you know what you are, if you've ever had a blueprint reading, like I'm a Blu-ray Avian Ascended Master, and so you go and learn about this stuff. Yeah, I know I haven't told you, Ronnie. You're like, what?
That's
I
interesting.
yeah, let's
I have wondered about some of that, but I've never actually found a place to find out, right?
I'll give you that information. I've got the
Great.
one that when I went to the Scotland to take this course of spirit alignment therapy, that was required that they had us do that. And so you learn about your blueprint, and that's fascinating. I mean, I've got like 10 pages of like, they send you the
Sh-
recording, so I'm writing it all down because it's just like, wow, I had no idea, what your blueprint is. And that's something we need to incorporate in our hypnosis too, is to get
Mhm.
back to the original blueprint, your original blueprint.
That's
So,
like that's like 23 and Me for your spirit,
we're gonna
yeah,
we're
you
gonna
know?
talk
yeah.
more about that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If there's links for that, let us know. We'll put
Yeah.
everything up on our page so that people can have access to seeing it too, because that sounds absolutely fascinating.
What's it called
Mhm.
again, Kim? One more time?
The Ascension Glossary. And then
No. Oh,
the one
okay, and
that did
that's where
my
you
reading, I'll
Yeah,
give you their
okay.
information.
I'm
It's
on it then.
Gary and Diane. They did that. Your blueprint reading is what they do, and they,
Blueprint reading. Okay,
everybody's,
that's what I
yeah.
got.
Yeah, like some
okay,
people are Indigo 3, some of them are Blu-rays, and there's a few others, and I'm not really familiar with all that as of yet, but they are actually teaching classes as well that starts up here in a couple months now. This month, actually, next week, I
nice.
think. So lots and
Wow.
lots of
Very
information and
cool.
lots of growing and learning, things to do. So yeah, I'll give you guys all that information so that you guys can put that on there. So I, I don't, and
Definitely.
if you're comfortable, I wouldn't mind sharing. Like I had that blueprint reading done, and one of the hypnosis sessions that I had as me as a client myself, um, because I usually go out in the galactic. I don't usually go to the other lives and things. I'm out in the astral. It's so weird, but I was seeing my blue avian master like right below, you know, Godhead, right
Mhm.
below that. And then to me it was a male presence, so I call him a he. He showed me my oversoul, and then my oversoul had four lines going down and to each of these different lives that I'm simultaneously doing. and and so and
Wow.
it showed me,
What?
and it's like, okay, one was tugging on this side, on the right side. I know I'm blowing
I'm
your
looking
mind
at
right now.
Deanna. She's as cool. She's like,
I'm
what?
loving
Like
this. I'm
I
loving
know.
this.
So and I felt this tug, and so you go down to this life that you're having. You see it from a different perspective looking into this, and that life needed me to come down and give a hug and say everything's going to be okay. um I love you and I sent, and it's kind of nice to see it from a different point of perspective because we do ask our team for that, like, I need help, we all get to that point sometimes.
Mhm.
And then everything was okay and everything was settled and it went back up to its place where it should be. And it's just like fascinating, fascinating.
So
That
that
is
you saw
so
4 parallel lives is what you're
Mhm.
saying.
Well, I just
wow.
seen the chord, like you're up
Yeah.
here. I just seen my ascended master and then the oversoul. And
Okay.
then I seen the chord going down. It's almost like a genealogy when you look it up on 23andMe or
Yeah.
ancestry.com and you just seen the four lines. I wasn't actually looking at each individual person. It just wanted me to see at that time. It wanted me to see this this is how it is from our perspective to see it from that point of view. So that
Wow.
was fascinating.
I bet.
That
Yeah.
is amazing. I mean, when you get into those dimensions, and I don't get there very often, but to have a chance to really meet with other aspects of yourself and see like what you actually are and where you actually come from versus this little tiny piece of us that's right here, right now talking, there's just so much more out there. And I imagine it must be very exhilarating to come back from a journey like that and
Yeah.
to just have to take all that in and shine
Absorb it.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
And
yeah.
I've seen so many. I've got so many stories I could tell you guys. It's just flooring, and like I said, all those bits and pieces, you're like, "What do I do with this now?" And when I was in the
Mm.
light body and now it's showing me, here's this piece, there's piece, and so it's just really cool to be able to, like, the aha moment that you have once you get those you're able to put that puzzle together, in pieces. I don't exactly have everything, but it's just nice to see that. And another one that I had done was I was actually an iron planet. I was the actual planet. And I was inside the planet, like I was the core of it, and the iron was protecting me because I'm a keeper of information, a keeper of time. I can't remember what, I'd have to go back and listen to it again. And then I also seen like I was something else, just energy outside of it. And so I was looking down like at myself and I was looking back up. It was just fascinating to do that, go back and forth.
Wow.
And I was doing the grid line before I learned about the light body. I'm like, I'm out here and I could see how all the grid lines is connected to every star, every planet. It's connected to everything. And it's just like, wow, it's just amazing. I really need to go back and listen to him again and actually do podcasts on him or actually, do, Facebook and just tell the
Well, listen
story
to
of all
one,
that.
come back on here, tell us all about it. Then we'll send you back home. You can, or, we'll go our separate ways and do another, and we'll just keep doing that because, man, that's some cool stories,
Hmm.
girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I mean, I like the whole thing about the grid because um part of my spiritual journey is meeting a guide that spins webs that are the filaments that she calls them that people walk on. I think I've mentioned her in every single one of these episodes we've done. But
Hmm.
and it
That's because
fits
she's
really
a lady.
well. It fits so well with the grid. And I hadn't been thinking about the grid. I hadn't been thinking about that until just now. I'm like, oh, I can see how that would go together. So
I could tell
see?
tonight you
Yeah.
guys are going to have very fascinating dreams and they're going to like, okay, good. I needed to say that. They must have been pushing me to say it because
Good.
you guys will be dreaming about this tonight and there's like, okay, this is going to help you guys go to a different web, a different part of your grid line and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, so you should be able to, like, I'll go outside, even like now I can close my eyes and I can see grid lines everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's made out of grid work. So it's fascinating. And yeah, I'd be
Hmm.
interested in hearing your guys's take in the next few days on um, what's being downloaded to you guys now, because
Yeah.
that was just like it opened a little key for you guys to another whole aspect.
Well, I'm
Hmm.
excited. We could
I'm
just sign
excited.
off now and go to sleep, but no.
Right.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Gotta go to
Gonna
sleep
go
and catch
dream.
this dream.
I just hope I remember it, you know? I bet I
Yeah.
usually do remember my dreams, so I'm looking forward to it. I'll keep a notebook by
Yeah.
my bed and
Thank
we'll see
you.
what comes up, and, yeah, and maybe if anyone's out there listening, well, of course, people are out there listening to us, um,
Yeah.
drop a note in the comments if you have an experience after this too, because we're all working
Oh,
together to raise
yeah.
the energy. And if you're listening to
Mhm.
this, you're meant to. So, yeah, it'd be great to get a collective reflective commentary going
Yeah.
on what kinds of things people might experience after this, and then, see if we can put the bigger picture together, you know?
Right.
So,
Just helping
yeah.
each other out and just help raising us all up to that and stay continuously in the 5D. I don't know
Mhm.
if you spend a lot of time in the 5D. If both of you guys, I try really hard to stay in that 5D and working on your traumas and releasing
Yeah.
your all that helps keep you. And then also keeping in the light body helps you keeps you in a higher level looking down. And it's nice to experience to see that it truly works.
Mhm.
The light body because just some things that happened in the last couple of weeks. I expected a different outcome. Your usual per way. You always working on yourself, but I looked at it from a higher perspective, and it's like, wow, it's just really nice to be able to handle things differently and not so. When things are thrown at you, it just throws you back, and it just okay, now I'm shook up, so I need to figure out to slough this off and get it out. So it just kind of helps you keep you in that 5D in a higher frequency, so those things don't hit you as much. And I don't
Is
know
it
if you
almost
guys.
like a deal, being part of, but being slightly detached at the same time, so that you don't have that human emotional, punch in the gut kind of a feeling, so that you can
Yeah,
deal with it from a sense of detachment, which doesn't mean you don't care. It just means that you're able to separate yourself from the strong emotion enough to actually see it for
actually,
what it
you
is.
just you just treat everything more with just love. I mean, if somebody's
Yes.
throwing stuff at you, and it's hard to get, it's hard to master. I mean, I don't know if I don't think I'm master, but it's a work in progress. And you're just like, okay, I just send love back to you. I just wish you well. I mean, I'm sorry you're going through this, and I hope you work through this. But I'm just sending love because that's what all the energy needs is just love, just pure
Mhm.
love. And to get to that point takes a lot, because some things you want to be angry about, and you're like, whoa, 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 I don't want that karma back on me, and I don't want to. When it comes time to when you go past, you see your life before you, and what they say is that you look at things from the other person's perspective and how you hurt them, and so it makes you see all that. So I'm trying to stop that now. I mean, I've already got enough. You built up all your years of your life to try um, to finish that off and just say you just send love because I guess you see them from the other perspective too,
Mhm.
from their point
Mhm.
of view. And like, I'm not going to
Mm.
go to that lower frequency. I'm sending love to you. And when you're ready to, step back up into this, let's talk, if that's what it is that you need to do. And with that specific person, it might just be somebody cutting you off. And you're just like,
Mhm.
okay, you can get mad. You're like, oh, you cut me off, and you're like, whoa. You try to change your thought pattern and then just be like,
Yeah.
okay, that person might be an emergency situation or they're very stressed today. So just give them space and love and move forward.
I try to do that a lot, in the car, other places. And if I catch myself saying or thinking something like, oh, you jerk, you're in my way, I will literally apologize out loud. And I'll just say, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't really mean that. Go in peace, or go in love, or go in safety, or whatever. um and that's something I've had to really actively work on, to apologize when I have those thoughts, because then I don't have to hold on to any feelings of, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I can immediately say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, with that energy going to that person in the same level of strength that whatever those words were, to fix that. So I mean, that's always a work in progress for, I
I'm
think, many of
Always.
us.
I'm quick to ho'opono it away.
Mhm.
And when I
Mhm.
do that and I catch and here's mine. You're so honest about your driving. Mine, whoo, I must have had a gavel at one point in time because sometimes I feel a little judgy. And so every moment that I start to think a little judgy, I catch myself now. I catch it a lot faster than I ever did before, and I'm at the place to where I hardly do it anymore. But I mean, I still have those moments, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Oh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me." And I start the mantra because I'm like, "Oh no, 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 no."
Mhm.
Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So kind of like in traffic. I don't know. I do you kind of ho'opono it away maybe a little bit, Deanna?
I'm much better in traffic now. I just assume everybody's in a hurry and I'm driving slow, although I'm usually not driving that slow, but I just assume everyone's in a hurry. Um, but it can be like anything. Like it takes a lot for me to actually have a reaction like that these days, because I've worked on it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but if I do, it's like immediately I'm gonna say, "I'm sorry, I didn't really mean that," and I'll say it out loud, even if I was just thinking. I will say that out loud because I truly want to erase that energy or at least shift it into something on a more positive level. I guess you can't really erase it, but you can change its direction, so
You
to speak.
absolutely can. You can
Um,
transmute it.
yeah, and so that's the kind of stuff I do. And I mean, it could be anything. It could be driving, it could be somebody says something to you that just triggers you, or you see something on Facebook that you don't answer, but you really want to, that kind of a thing. It's like, nope, sorry. Sorry about that. Go away. Go, everything's fine, and just kind of let it go that way. I mean, that's a really big part of the ascension, I think, is being able to not just say I'm sorry, but to actually feel I did not mean that and to accept that. And again, it goes right to the Ho'oponopono prayer. I mean, those are all the words for it right there.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so Deanna and Kim, you guys
Mhm.
don't know this, but I do. You guys have some gifts in common. So Kim, tell us about some of your gifts.
I
She's
studied
like,
like
It's
there's
like
the
I,
spot. There's the
again,
spot.
no pressure.
everybody has the same gifts. It's just when they just that when they open them. Honestly, that's just how I feel, and I've been taught. But I've been intuitive ever since I was a young child, very very young. I remember being 5, 6, 7, and seeing all these other energies, even though you couldn't see them, but I could see them, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And seeing ghosts and stuff like that. But most children, I think, do see those because they're still open, for
Mhm.
that um, gifts. Sorry, I started to get off on another tangent. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, you're
Um,
okay.
That's okay.
We love
We're all about
tangents.
tangents.
I'm like, oh, do I tell them that one? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When I turned about 13, that's when I just closed my third eye because nobody knew how to, nobody else was seeing or feeling or knew how to do all these things. And I'm like, okay, you don't know enough about it. So at 13, I shut it down. And then, probably around 2016 is when I started like, okay, getting the urge to reopen all those, doing the Reiki and that kind of stuff. Um, I worked really hard. I took a six to no, it was a year course of mediumship, and that really helped open my third eye. And of course the Reiki and doing all those kind of things. So um, I don't know. We probably all have many many different gifts. I'm probably forgetting 90% of them.
Well, we
I
didn't
feel I
just put you on the spot or
I know,
anything.
right?
the
Um,
gift of seeing. I wasn't
Yeah.
seeing before, so I can see some things, and sometimes things will just pop in your head. You're like, how did I see that was a web on that person, and the gray smoke, and they had all these spiders all over them, and and then other times you just don't see anything, and it just kind of comes and goes, and it's just opening that specific gift. But um yeah, I can't think of all the other ones. I'm sure there is some, but um psychic, mediumship, and the seeing
light
sometimes.
language. That's where I was
Oh,
going, was
yes,
light
yes.
language. That's where I
Ah.
was going.
I need to work on that a little bit more. I remember I really thought I was crazy, because nobody talked about it. But when my kids were little, and I would just come out and just start talking all this stuff, and you're like, okay, this is just Kim's weird language. So and I did really honestly did not know any more about that light language until I did Gary and Diane's the blueprint, and they said we're going to activate you. I'm like, I've heard that before. I used to speak it, and they're like, you self-activated. I just haven't really worked with it much because like this past year was a very humongous year for me. I was working on the mediumship. I was still through that. I was doing the hypnosis, and then I was doing the spirit alignment therapy, and then my mom passed away. So it was just a very tumultuous year. So, and then I took the last 3 months off. So, um, now getting back into the light body and learning those that are opening other gifts. So
Well, everything
Deanne
has
was,
to go in its own time too. I mean,
yeah,
when the time is right, what is it when is it when the student is ready, the master appears?
yeah.
So even if we know something logically or we've experienced it, if it's not time to learn it, we're just not going to learn it. We're just not going to work on it because it's not the right time. And our spirit and our souls know when that time is because you can't force it. For me, I was doing light language with my hands right after my unity field healing attunement. I started doing it with my hands when I heal. And then I was doing it during my sessions with Ronnie, and then I started with some light language, mostly when I'm doing healing, verbally as well as with my hands. I don't just say, "Okay, gonna talk in light language," and because it doesn't. It doesn't come
Yes.
out that way. I just go,
Yeah.
Right.
But, I've consciously tried to work with my guides to say, if this is a healing and this is a soul to soul, then that's part of what I should be doing, and so I will say things and listen, as I'm doing healing and listen to it, but, it's something that I need to work on too. I know people who can just very freely speak it, and blows my mind because I feel like, well, I'm not open enough for that, or maybe it's just supposed to be different for me. It's we all
Mhm.
use our gifts differently. So,
Mhm.
um, I'm a work in progress with that too. I would love to be able to just spontaneously and when I want to, but I think it's all part of the channeling of the healing. I think
Mhm.
it's all got to do with healing. I know
Yeah.
that. Um, and so when I'm doing either my group healings or my one-on-one healings, that's more of when I'll see it in my own self, coming out of my own self.
Do you ever see it like, for me, it activates too when I'm doing the drumming. Like I had no idea that it would do that
Hmm,
until I went to Scotland and we was in the class and all of a sudden they started drumming and then I'm just started speaking it. So I don't know if you've
nice.
tried drumming to see if
I have
or
not.
or something to that, that's got a beat and where you're just relaxing and where it will come out that
Hmm.
way as well. Yeah.
That's something to try. I know I do it writing too. If I'm in a you know how remember being in school when you're kind of listening to the teacher, but you're also somewhere totally different and you don't
Yes.
remember anything the teacher said when you come back from
Oh my
it?
God, I can't believe you said that because that was a big thing for me.
Me
Yes.
too. Me too. And I don't know where I was, but I was not there. When you get into that mindset and you just start like doodling with a pen, and I'll look at some of these things that come out, the symbols and the different ways, and some days it looks like one's totally different. Like one will be loopy, one will have straight lines and dots, and I'm like, I thought, well, now that's odd, and so I looked some of that stuff up, and I think it might have been Bashar, but I'm not sure. Somebody was posting somewhere some different kinds of written light language, and I'm
Mhm.
like, wow, that looks just like something I was doing the other day. So I think it can be expressed
Hmm.
in so many different ways, and I think sometimes it has to come out. One of my friends told me how when she first activated it was so strong that she would, like, at work or whatever, just go into another room and shut the door and just speak it until it was released. And I
Mhm.
think that those of us who don't speak it all the time, maybe we write it. Maybe we move our hands around. Maybe, whatever creative things might be light language. Let's get all esoteric and say, well, are all the famous artists creating in light language? Because we create
Yeah.
art as works of beauty, or at least of works of something to provoke a reaction, an emotional reaction. Maybe you're trying to make art that's not beauty but difficult, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
Maybe that's all a form of light language. Maybe anything that we do of a creative pursuit, anything is another form of light language. So
I do believe that. Yeah. I do
yeah, yeah,
wholeheartedly. Yeah, and
yeah.
automatic writing. I mean, I don't know if you like you
I
said
do
when you're
that too.
doodling,
Yeah,
you start
yeah.
writing and you start writing in your own self and then it switches to she, her,
And the
whatever.
handwriting changes. That's the
Yes.
freakiest part. Yes. Yes, when
Yeah.
I first started communicating with my spirit guides, I did a lot of that because I couldn't really calm my mind enough to meditate, which is weird because you're still kind of basically meditating when you're doing it. But I would write questions in my notebook and then just close my eyes and wait. And then whatever would come out, and then I'd
Yes.
look for the answers. And you could see the different handwriting that would just like blow me away. And then different guides had different handwriting. So I
Mhm.
had like two or three guides that I was really strongly working with at that time. And it's like I can tell who's writing. I know who I'm talking to by what it looks like. And then the validation comes when they tell you something you don't want to hear, that if you were doing it, you wouldn't have told yourself that. You know,
Exactly.
it's like, no, honey, you can't have that. Oh, crap. you know that
Mhm.
kind of a thing. I've done that too, and yeah, I do mediumship. I'm a spiritualist, so it's just like all part of the religion. And I learned kind of semi formally in the church, through the church I used to go to. Took a bunch of classes there with other mediums, and just kind of learned to to open. And you know, like I think you said something and you touched on this, Kim, that we all have all of these gifts. It's just a matter of how comfortable we are accessing them and how much knowledge we have about them. Because if it scares you, you're not going to do it. You know,
Right.
I mean, I can use the example of my daughter. Both of my kids have it, but both of my kids have shut it off. My son has shut it off so far, he won't even talk about it, which tells me he's probably got it really strong. Um, my daughter used to be able to do all kinds of things when she was little. And like, we could stare at streetlights and turn them off, which was amazing. She always knew she could guess, like you hold up a few fingers behind your back. She always got that right. Little things like that, right? That really show you that she had a lot. She also had experiences. She had an imaginary friend that scared her that we had to get
Mhm.
rid of, which I don't talk about a lot because I never want to say the name of it out loud again.
Yeah.
But it took a long time to get rid of that. It was
Mhm.
difficult, and it was kind of where I probably was kind of starting on my spiritual journey around then. So, I was maybe contributing to it because I was like a loose cannon with energy
Mm.
and bringing in things and then not knowing how to get rid of them or having them come in accidentally. And, you know, I'm not talking about like evil ghosts or anything like that, although there were a lot of experiences in my house at that time because that was what was going on. You know, but she had this experience with that, and then you know she would sleepwalk, and sleepwalking is a normal physiological thing that people do. Um, but she would come running in my room and say things like, "The aliens are in the living room, Mom. What are we gonna do?" And I'd be like, "Whoa, get into bed with me and let's talk about it in the morning." Because what are you? I'm not going in the living room. I don't know about you. You stay with me. You know, and things like that would happen. But then she got to a point where, and again, right about that 13, because that's when I turned my own self off. Um, Something
Yeah.
scary happens and you stop. At least for me, I had something scary happen where just weird things were happening when I was raising energy and not knowing what I was doing. And I was just like, nope, done, out of here. Nope, it's not happening again. And so my daughter, who had this ability, as I'm opening up mine at the same time, she's closing hers down. And I don't know if that was part of the conflict of the energy in the house, but we had that whole poltergeist energy going on for a while where like things were flying off of counters. My kids' beds would shake. Like my son, well, he's never going to listen to this, but he was like 19 years old when he was sleeping in the living room because his bed was shaking at night. And then my daughter's bed started shaking. And so she'd be with me, or she's 6 years younger. So she'd either be with me or she'd be in the living room on the other couch or something. And just so much happened when she was shutting down. Like I had to come home early once because she was home alone doing her homework and her books flew off the couch where next from next to her. She freaked right out. I would have too, you know, and she goes stands outside and calls my sister and I come over and I'm like, GTFO, dude, whoever you are, you're not allowed here. Um, so we had a lot of experiences like that, and you know, she shut off just like you did, just like I did. You get
Hmm.
to a point where it's like, okay, I am not ready for this, therefore I'm not going to do this. And then when you get older and you understand a little more, you can open up to it again. I opened up like I said, like a firecracker with things happening all over. I reined it in. I learned. I took classes. You know, you do the things that you need to do to kind of control the chaos that your energy will just kind of naturally create when it's ready to burst out of you. But if you're not ready for it, you're not going to do it one way or the other. You're not going to do it.
It's
Yeah.
true.
It's a
Yeah.
muscle that has to be, I mean, it's just like any other muscle. You got to build that. Everybody
Mhm.
has those gifts. And when they start working that muscle, it gets better and better and better. So, yeah,
Right.
I mean, for the audience, they all can do it and they can all ask their spirit team, their spirit guides, hey, I want to learn a little bit more about blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
mediumship, this or this or this or this, and they'll help you work on that. And then, but you got to do it yourself too. You got to work on that muscle. Go ahead, Ronnie. I
Right.
could tell you,
And you gotta trust the information
yes,
that comes.
yes, that comes through.
Yes.
I
Hmm.
get so many people who ask, "Well, how do I know the difference?" Right? I don't know if you get that. They're like, "Well, how do I know the difference?"
Hmm.
Okay, the only way to know is you trust the good, okay? And if you don't like it, then don't do it.
Right. You keep what works for you and you throw out the rest, and spirit
Yeah,
understands that. But I mean, I trust, but I am also enough science minded that I will say, please give me something
A
to
sign.
prove this. I need
Yes.
to know and make it something I'm going to recognize. Please don't give me some weird thing. And so they all
oh, I
go,
do
ha
that.
ha ha, guess what we're gonna do? And this one time they gave me a series of numbers. I'm like, okay. You know, what? They're like, "Oh, no, figure it out." And it took me so long to figure out what they were talking about. And I did, and it eventually morphed. It was all the numbers for a specific date that something specific happened that I was specifically looking for. So they gave me the answer, but I had to work for it. And I asked them, I said, why can't you just tell me? Why can't you just say, okay, this or okay, that? And they said, because that's like giving you the answers to a test. You got to learn how to do this, and you
Mhm.
learn by figuring things out. And I was like, okay, okay, just I never had another numbers problem again, thank God. They know I don't like math. But um yeah, you know, you get I forgot where I was going with that, like always. But um we get what we need when we need it.
Mhm.
And yeah, yeah.
Very true.
Or
Okay. Alrighty. So, Kim, I have a question for you. How do you sum all this up and what is it that you do? I know that you do healing. Digress from healing just a little bit because you have all these amazing things. So, tie
Different
it all together.
modalities, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I center everything, and that's what helped me with my website because I did so many different things, like, how do I come up with that? But it really does all evolve around the healing and helping others. I have so much love and compassion for every other mankind, out here that I just want to help everybody heal and get to a good place, because you hate to see people
Mm-hmm.
so low and so down. We've all been there. That's how we've got where we're at, because you've been through all that. So the healing is all that. Wrap it all up. I really not sure exactly. I think healing is
Healing.
actually it. Everything evolves around whether you're healing yourself, you're healing somebody else, teaching them how to heal, and to look at nature and everything else. I don't know if you guys ever talked about hugging a tree, if you've ever done that, and the energy you
yes, I
feel
have.
from that.
Yep. Yep.
That
Yeah.
experience was just so wonderful. We don't have many trees here in Yuma, and I really miss it because I'm from up in the north,
Okay.
Ohio region, and then most of my life I've lived in Oklahoma. So now I'm down here in the Arizona area, but there's no trees. So we went to Oregon to go meet some my husband's stepson and his family, but there's so many trees up there, and I'm like, I said, "Well, one thing that I've gotta do is I've got to go hug a tree." And it's hard with a bunch of people to do that. When on the way home, we stopped just random place, and just hearing all the trees, you hug them, and they're talking to you, you're crying, and it's just like, I really did not want to leave that space. I'm like, "I just wanna stay here," and they're like,
Mm.
"You'll be back, and we're with you." And they were all singing as we were leaving, and you see trees, driving down the road, and you just see all these trees, and they're speaking to you, and you kind of it
Mhm.
humbles you a lot. It really truly does. And I do that. I
Yeah.
use that analogy with the hypnosis too. I really love the tree analogy. I think I used it on you, if you don't mind me speaking. But um,
Oh, go ahead. Of course.
I use that tree. Whether we go to the root because you got to go to the root to the problem, or something in the trunk that's stuck in the middle. It's just like your chakras. Just
Mm-hmm.
each area is like, okay, do we need to go to a branch, to a twig, to the leaf and go that way? It's just, and I don't know. I find the trees are part of us. We are of the earth, and earth is
Mhm.
us. It's same with the galaxy.
So, I have a
Yeah.
spirit guide that is of the trees. Her name is actually Tess. And I found that so interesting because it's, like tree. But she is of the trees. And I
Beautiful.
don't care. I'm the person who hugs trees in front of everybody.
Oh, me
I
too. Yeah.
have zero cares to give about that because that's just, and especially I think I'm so close to him because, like I said, my spirit guide, right? So
Yeah.
even closer. hmm
Have
I
you
never
guys
pass an
ever?
opportunity up to hug a tree.
Yes, I know. I love trees. It's like,
Yeah.
well, so much so that we put trees. No, nobody out here likes trees. I don't know why. They just want to do the rocks and stuff. I have to have green grass. For it just helps with the grounding. When you do that, and
Mhm.
then we put in trees and shrubs and things like that. But have you guys ever come across? Gosh, I lost my train of thought on that. Um, oh, ever been somewhere and you're like, I've been here before? If you ever felt
Yes.
that, we did that in Scotland, and we was at a castle, and it's like I've been here before. I've sat on this bench. I've sat right I mean, that this whole scene, I've seen that in my hypnosis. And
Oh,
the other
cool.
3 other people that were with me, they sat on the bench and are like it just like a light bulb went off. Boom, boom, boom. We
Wow.
have been together in past lives, and it just hit us all at one time. And so you're like, "Okay, can we have a passerby take a
Oh,
picture of us?" Because it was just the realization of that. So, it's
that
just
is
Yeah.
so cool.
awesome. Tell me your story. How did you come across that?
Which
Or
of
you want
us?
let's go at the end. Yeah.
Um, just like being somewhere and remembering it, that to me, it's almost like I'm trying to think of a really good example. It's hard to say, but I mean, I have a lot of deja vu experiences,
Yeah.
a lot of them.
Mhm.
And for that, it feels like I'm just kind of like bouncing on timelines that are similar, going
Yeah.
back and forth. But there's times it happens to me in dreams a lot. Like I can dream somewhere and be like, okay, I know where I am. And part of me, the part of me that kind of stays aware, like not all I'm not aware in all dreams, but I have a some level of awareness and some it's like, okay, this was somewhere. This is where you have been. And I can wake up and I can think of it or I can see pictures of it. Um, for me, my ancestry in Scotland is really important to me. And my grandmother did a heck of a lot of genealogy work to trace us back to, oh dear God, I think the 1500s maybe. My family was mentioned in a poem by
Wow.
I can't remember who, but it was upon the hills of Annandale, the gentle Johnstons ride. And we weren't gentle at all. That's what made the poem funny. But it's like I connected so incredibly strongly with that ancestry, and and this is way before Outlander, this is way before all the cool stuff. I was probably like
All the cool
16 or
stuff.
17. This was a long time ago, and and then Ronnie took me back into one of my past lives, and I was actually at the castle keep or the tower or somewhere. Like Lockwood Tower was my family's. Lockwood Tower is the seat of where my family was when we were in Scotland. And I talk like I know them from like 500 years ago, but whatever. And I probably do. Um,
Mhm.
and so that to me, like coming into that life and being there was like, oh my God, I recognize this. Oh my God, this is an important thing. I think in that life, I was a teenager when I died. I think it was some kind of a battle. I don't know, Ronnie. I remember it from one of our sessions. Um, so stuff like that really gets me, but it can
Cool.
happen out in nature. And I don't know if it's so much a sense of I've been here before or I just recognize this energy. Um, nature energy is really big with me. I've been told by multiple people that I carry a bit of the Fey energy with me. I connect really strongly to that. So hugging a tree, talking to flowers,
Mm.
saying hello to pretty much everything that flies by me. Like in the
Oh,
mornings, I
yeah.
greet the crows. I had my spiders living in my siding that I would say good morning to every day. Um, little things like that, good morning crows, good morning spiders, good morning flowers, whatever it is. Um, I connect with that
Aw,
because
like
that energy feels like
Cinderella.
home. Ah!
Remember
Uh,
how Cinderella
Mhm.
sang with the birds?
yeah,
That's what
and
I just
she had her pet mice making her dress, and so I
yeah.
mean, I don't want any mice
Oh.
in the house, but yeah, I say hi to everything. I see the chipmunk running across the street. It's like, hey, chipmunk, hi, squirrel, whatever. Because to me, that's the energy that feels like home is the nature energy. And it's not just the
Mhm.
animals, it's the flowers, it's everything I talk to outside that people probably think I'm crazy. So that's kind of the sense to me of I've been here because this is this whole nature thing. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I know that being of nature is really important to my soul in some very important way. So whether
Mhm.
I have a bit of fae in me from my Scottish ancestors, who knows? Um, but it's there somehow. So that's kind of really the feeling. And like I said, I can dream a place and just wake up knowing, oh, okay, that wasn't so much of a dream. That was kind of somewhere that I was. Or if I'm writing a story, I'm describing something because I've seen it, not because I'm making it up, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That's how it gets me. Yeah. Yeah.
M Ronnie, what do you think? I mean, like, what
I was trying to think of a really good time, a good one. I couldn't, and it wasn't coming to me. I was also listening to Deanna, but in the back of my head, I was really trying to think of a good one, and I could.
it'll pop up, huh?
It
Mhm.
will, but I get deja vu so much, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
have incredible deja vu.
Yeah, we are going through all the different timelines.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll just be walking and all of a sudden I'm like, "Okay, I've been here, done this before."
I
Mhm.
like trying to figure out what's gonna happen next.
Yes, I do
That's
that
the
too.
fun part of it. Because if it's
Dun,
gonna
dun,
be a little
dun.
bit weird in
Yeah.
your head, you may as well have fun. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, dun 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 dun. Yes, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah,
Exactly.
definitely. And but you know, it doesn't always happen in like conversation. Sometimes it's just I'm alone and I'm like, wait, I remember how that looked or that leaf fell and I saw that before. Just something. It can even be something small. And yeah, I think it is. It's just we're bouncing. We're bouncing because we're ascending and because the big
Mhm.
changes are happening
Everything's
as we
coming.
speak.
Yes.
So
I know it's like,
yeah.
"Yes." Do you guys ever
Yes.
think about writing books, or are you guys currently writing any books?
No, I'm not. I mean, I've thought about writing books since I was like 4, but
Yeah, I know, me too, and I've just never done it,
I
yeah.
wrote the biggest thing I wrote was I think about 250 pages. It was in college and it was a vampire book. Drawn so heavily from Anne Rice. There is no way that could ever get published. But that was like the longest thing, but I write a lot of poetry. I write poetry a lot. And that kind of helps because sometimes it's spirit led, sometimes it's just me and my emotions, but sometimes it's
Yes.
more than that, you know. And a few of them, like I made this channeled poem once that was so cool because I didn't realize it until I showed it to one of my friends from church because I was like, oh wait, let's put this on our website, you know, because I took a picture, I found a picture of a sunset, and then this whole thing came out of me about being in the Civil War and being like I think a mother of one of the men or something. I can't even remember anymore, but it was like I said to my friend, I said, I don't feel like I actually wrote that. And he's like, well, then you probably channeled it. And he gave me a book of
Mhm.
poems that were channeled by a spiritualist. And I was reading them and I'm like, okay, those look like regular poems. And that's kind of where I was going with the whole art thing and light language you know, are we channeling everything? So yeah,
Yeah.
I write poems. Me and my
It's
spirit
funny you
team.
say that because I've been recently I used to when I was a teenager, had wrote poems, and just recently I picked it back up again, and it's kinda like a channel, like, you just like, "Oh my god, it just came out," like, "I gotta write this
Yep.
down." I was in the middle of doing a meditation. I gotta do it right now or I'll forget those words, and it's like, "Wow,
Yeah, oh
wow."
yeah, I go back on the notes on my phone and I'll be like, "Well, there's half a sentence. I wonder what I was really gonna
Yes.
write there." Because I'll just
Mhm.
write down, you know, da da da, and then I'll come back to it 6 months later and be like, "What the heck was I talking about?"
You're like, "Okay,
Um,
team, tell me to finish this,
yes,
where am I going with this?" You're like,
yes.
"Boom, okay."
Yeah, or last night something just hit me and I'm just like literally typing it on my phone, which if my texts are generally full of errors because I am old enough to have the excuse that I'm too old to be able to see the keys very well. Therefore, you get typos. And I typing it away on my phone and I'm laying in bed and I'm looking at it and I don't have my reading glasses on. I'm like, well, this is gonna come out good. Because when spirit hits you, you go with it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I have the notebooks, girl.
Mhm.
I have
Mhm.
so many notebooks. Yeah,
Yeah.
because how many times have any of either of you gotten up in the middle of meditation and been like, "Oh my god, I gotta get that down."
Mhm.
I do
Yes.
that one, like, during meditations, right? Wake up in the middle of the night with like, "Oh, this needs to be written down."
Mhm.
Man, I'm such a writer. You text, I love you because you have gotten into the technology thing. Yeah, I'm really good at voice. I can voice record really
Yeah,
well.
I do that too.
You have a beautiful voice. One of my
Oh, thank you.
one of my other friends, like, oh my gosh, she's got like a voice like a radio talk host. I'm like, yeah, she
She
does. It's like
does.
her
She
voice is just
does.
so relaxing and just going with the flow.
You
Love
could be
it.
like, "It's Delilah in the
Yes,
evening."
yes.
So, whole lot of I thank you. I'm gonna just say thank you. I've gotten a few of these comments before, and I'm ever, ever, ever so grateful for them. Thank you, thank you, thank
Well,
you.
thank you for sharing your voice with us.
Mhm.
Really, truly.
Oh,
Yes.
well, what else was I gonna do?
Who knows? We've all got different
Come
things we want to
on.
show each other. You're like,
I
Yeah.
wow,
mean,
where did that come from? You're like,
when you gotta do it, you gotta do it, man. Like,
yeah.
and maybe, hey, ding, 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 ding. Maybe that's why, other than the things of becoming out
Mhm.
of my voice other than the words that come through my voice. That's a better way to say that. Other than the words that come through my voice. And maybe that's why I've always been told to do this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very much
Other
so, yeah.
than because of the words. Maybe that's why I was gifted such a
Ooh.
although really, let's be honest, although really, don't get me singing. I love to sing. I love, 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 love to sing. I
Okay,
just
you're
didn't
gonna have to
say I
sing for us, whether
no
it be on here or just sometime, yeah,
girlfriend.
no judgment, honey.
I was not. I was meant to be an entertainer, not a singer. And entertaining, I do good, but
Okay,
no.
spirit team.
I really wish I had the
That does
voice to
sound like a
sing.
challenge.
Yes, it
I
does.
no, 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 no.
Love you.
Not today. Not today. Maybe another day, but not today. I
Mhm.
appreciate it.
Sometime.
Um, but yeah, seriously, I'm telling you, I love to sing. And anybody who's heard me sing, and it'll happen, it will, because I do it all the time. I just didn't say it was very good.
I
It
sing
don't
all the
matter, it's that you're
time.
singing, and your
Yeah, man,
beautiful
I'd
voice
love
just
to
coming
sing.
out. Yeah.
I yes, but it's a beautiful. Thank you. It's a beautiful talking voice. I am definitely not Adele. Oh my gosh, she has a beautiful singing voice, or I don't. So many people have beautiful. I just used her.
You are unique. You're very unique, so
Everybody, thank you, and everybody
Mhm.
is. So are you. So are you, Deanna. So are you, Kim. We're all unique, and
Yeah, well,
that's
I'm not
what.
yeah.
gonna sing either for any of you, but I do
Yeah.
it a lot for my dog and my cats.
Yeah, there you go,
In
right?
the
Same here.
And
vehicle.
in the car, yep.
Mhm.
Have you ever been singing? I have a fun one for you because this has happened to me maybe a few too many times. Have you ever been singing in the vehicle with the windows down on a beautiful sunshiny day and you notice everybody going,
Yes,
I've not had that happen, but
I
yeah.
have.
oh, I had one person one time yell out the window, "You go, girl!"
Yep. I had someone
I
walk up
was
to my
like, "Thank
car.
you."
Yeah. Somebody walked up
Wow.
to my car once and he's like, "You've got a great voice." I'm like, "You could hear me?" Crap.
I'm always like, it's only because I've been drowned out by the
Yeah,
radio.
That's
I
what I said
noticed
too. I have the radio really loud. You didn't really hear
Yeah,
me.
I know.
that's when you're singing and realize that somebody else is listening to you. That's
I
probably when the
know.
best ones come out. Is when you're
Hopefully.
truly just when
Yeah.
you're not being prejudged by the world, and you're just singing. So kudos that someone actually spoke out and said, really good. You guys have good singing voices.
Well, I
I don't
will
know if
say I took voice lessons when I was a teenager because of my intent to be a rock star. My father
oh.
said, "Okay, well, if you're gonna stop playing your flute because you don't want to be a rock star like Jethro Tull, then you have to do something." So I signed up for
Mhm.
voice lessons at Hochstein, which is a local music school here. And I did. I had 2 years of it where I had to stand up in front of a crowd of people and sing all by myself. And whoa, is that humbling? Because
Yeah.
you're just
Mhm.
standing there. And some of the songs, she made me do some classical stuff because she's like, "Look, I have to teach you some of this stuff, and then we'll go back and we'll do what you want to do." So I picked 39th Street Bridge song, "Feeling Groovy" by Simon and Garfunkel. And there I
Yeah.
am standing up there in my
Look.
1980s pumps, and I'm like, I stopped it halfway through. I'm like, "Nope, we have to start again. I have to take my shoes off." And she's looking at me and I'm just like, I don't know. So I sang it twice and then I sang oh my God, that Olivia Newton-John song. Yeah, am I dating myself here? Let Me Be There. The Olivia Newton-John song "Let Me Be There" is an incredibly uplifting song. And because I have like fangirled on Olivia Newton-John since I was a little girl because my mom listened to her, I did that one and I literally that one had everybody standing up and clapping along. But then something happened. I was not 17 anymore and then I let my singing voice just kind of like popped right out the window and said goodbye, see you later. So I don't do that anymore, but that feeling of letting go is so nice. And it's, you wonder, does a bird feel like that? Is that what a bird feels like? When you wake up and you hear the robin at the top of the tree singing up the sun, is that what the birds feel like when they're raising the sun in the morning? Is that what it feels like? What a good feeling. So no different than driving with your window down and singing at the top of your lungs because you're just sharing your voice in whatever
Hmm.
capacity. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I just
I
don't
yeah.
make people listen to me anymore.
in
I
this
never thought
timeline.
in
I've
this
never
one. Right. There might be another one like over
Yeah,
here somewhere where I'm out there
that went off
singing.
and did that. Yeah.
Mhm.
mm,
Maybe I was a
mhm.
rock star somewhere else. Who knows?
Hmm. We'll have to go check it out when we go to a different timeline.
Yeah,
I'll be
I'll
your
look for my band.
I'll be your drummer though.
Okay. I didn't have a drummer. I had a bassist
I will be your
and
drummer.
I wrote the songs and I had a good yeah, the bassist, the guy on the guitar. Maybe he wasn't a bassist, just a regular guitar. He did something. And that but then what happened was I was like 15, 16, 17, all around the same time. I got my tonsils out and then I had to not sing for a while and then everybody just went off and did their own thing and by the time I was healed everybody was off doing other things. They're like, well, we were
Mm.
teenagers. We don't know what we're doing.
No.
But do you ever think that, going off on a tangent from that, that the things that we wanted to be growing up when we were kids, do you think that's because we were that at another time?
Oh
Because kids
yeah,
are so closely connected? Yeah. So
I
you
do. I
wonder,
believe that.
yeah. So
I
you're
just know on you, any they say any decision you make, you go two different ways, and that person is that's still
Mhm.
you in another
yes.
timeline, still continuing on that path, and you chose a different one. So
I
yeah,
have
it would be
always said that. I've always said that you go to the intersection and you turn right, but the other U turns left. And then the
Mhm.
other U turns right, and that other U turns left. And then it just goes and goes.
yeah,
Yes. Oh, I'm so
yeah.
glad you said that because
And you
yeah.
say that it's like, and I've read and listened, and that all of right now in this timeline that we're in convergent, we're converging all of our lives together. Like
Mhm.
some of your
Mm.
information you knew, like another you in another lifetime has more knowledge than what you do, and then there's some that has less, and so they're all integrating. Because sometimes you feel like, man, I've how did I learn so much more information? Or I've already did all that down here. Why am I doing this again? And it's because you're converging all your timelines in together as a
I
whole
love that. I love that thought.
to go to
Yeah.
the next, higher level
Mhm.
in your evolution.
Right. Spiritual evolution.
Hmm.
We're like legit doing it. And I'm just grateful that we're all here at this time. I mean, they say that everybody that is here now is here by choice.
Yeah.
To everybody work as a collective to help each other to get everything raised up because we came on purpose and they're saying the whole theory with the each generation is bringing some new something in and these young ones that are coming in that are being born now are bringing something totally different
S-
in and I've also heard that karma is not coming in anymore
Yeah.
and so they're
Hmm.
born with a clean slate that stays a clean slate and that is
Yeah.
so important because if you're busy dusting off yesterday's stuff, how are you going to go forward?
Yep.
And I think personally that our karma is gone also. I think that
Yeah.
it was all wiped away. Cryon talked about it a while ago, but
Hmm.
it was just all it's because it serves no purpose anymore. Karma was for a time when we needed it to keep things balanced as we were growing. And now that we've gotten to the certain age, we can shed that because we're at the point where we need to be. And that doesn't mean that everybody is ascended. That doesn't mean that everybody's on the same level. We've got three, we've got
Right.
four, we've got five. But I think that the karma as a whole is an outdated thing now because we don't need it anymore.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I still say sorry
Yes.
to anyone I think bad things about, but that's
Right.
more about me and
Yes.
keeping my energy clear and helping theirs stay clear because you can put it on somebody and
Yeah.
it bounces back to you and it bounces to them and then they have something that they don't deserve. So but I don't think it's karma. I really
When
think so.
you whatever you put out to the universe is come back to it's like a mirror. It
Yep.
just sends right back what you so if you're sending positive energy, you're going to get positive energy back. And it's like with abundance, everybody's
Mhm.
always about money and abundance. Whatever you send out comes back. So if you're sending something negative out, you know,
Mhm.
catch it before it gets out in the ether,
Yep.
and then change
Mm.
it to a positive. And so yeah.
Hope of a Pono, reel it back in, and then
Yeah, you're like
yeah, yeah.
That's actually what I try to do is,
Yeah.
that's my reel in is the Ho'opono because I'm not just I'm forgiving myself and asking them for forgiveness at the same time. So
Mhm,
yeah.
Mhm.
mhm,
Mhm.
mhm. It's just so exciting to be in this time that we're in right now and to
I wanted to say this. I just had a conversation with, okay, my favorite word. Well, my one of my let me anyway. I call people who are not in our world. I love the word muggles from Harry Potter. Okay. Thank you.
Muggles, yep.
So I was speaking with some muggles and I was just in my good place, feeling all my feels, that riding the wave, right? And I was like, oh my God, this time is so good. I'm loving being alive during this time. Technology kicks my butt. I'm not going to lie. I am not a technological person. I did not, I struggle with it.
Mhm.
But I'm still loving the learns that I'm getting. I'm loving how much it can do and all the changes that everything that is going on right here, right now in this time. And I know that there's some things coming that are going to be not as pleasant. And I
Mhm.
recognize that. And that's okay.
Mhm.
I'm still just loving it so much right here, right now. Guys, We I don't know. I'm really gonna date myself here, Deanna. You can't talk too much. Party lines, okay?
Oh.
Party lines, okay? From party lines to wherever my little cellular device is, to these things that is like, I mean, to cell phones, it didn't even show up. But to technology literally in the palm of your hand, I can do damn near anything.
Mhm.
And I just find that so freaking cool. Seriously, guys, from party lines to what we're doing right now.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, the leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds.
How cool is this?
Mhm.
very cool.
It's just so freaking cool and such a great, oh my gosh, it's such a great time to be alive.
It
It
really
is.
is.
And this time and space, that we're growing and how the Earth is ascending it is wonderful. We are very blessed to be here at this time.
Do you ever, I know Deanna doesn't have grandkids yet. Kim, do you ever look at your little grandkids and go, because I got some youngins. I got 4 and a 2-year-old. I got the older one too. Don't get it twisted, but especially the 2-year-old, I'm like, I just sometimes go, "Man, what is life gonna be like for you
Yeah,
when you hit my stage? Can you
yeah.
imagine? Wow,
Well, world's gonna
life
be
is
totally
just gonna be
different.
so
Mhm.
freaking I'm not gonna
Mhm.
recognize it, I don't think.
But we're gonna come back and get born into it if we want to.
And
Yep.
well, I'm
Some
still
people
gonna be
say
here.
some people say that, like,
I'm still gonna
you
be here.
you only get one Earth life. I've heard that theory, but I don't think that's true because
That's
there's
not
too
true.
much. No, I know, but I've heard it, and I think it comes I think it comes along more with the people that think that Earth is just a place where you have to learn things, and if you mess up, you have a terrible life and you have to do it again and again and again. And I'm not quite with that anymore because I think that falls more into the karma that than just you're here because we're working as a collective. And I don't remember who said this recently. It was probably on a podcast somewhere. Sorry if I don't know who my sources are. Could have been one of my friends for all I know. But we're working together. Actually, I think it was one of my friends. We're working together so that we can then be the teachers for the next place that needs it. And
Yes.
that is so profound because all of us that are here now that are waking up are already teachers. We're already doing
Mm.
that and we're helping other people wake up because you can be around your muggles group, but there's fewer and fewer of them.
Mm.
Like when I first started doing the stuff, probably, well, when I was actually doing things, like when did Facebook come out? 2008-ish. Well, for the old people, it came out around 2008. And
God.
everybody from high school jumped on there. Everybody I know, because all of our kids saw us on there and took off and went wherever they went. But all my whole high school class, like, and we all got back together and we were all talking. Most of my Facebook friends are people I went to high school with. And, we connected with people we hadn't talked to in a long time, people that we didn't really hang out with because we're all grown up now and we were connecting. And, I put it out there. Yeah, I do some readings. I'm working on or at that time it was Oracle cards and, I'll do some stuff like that. And it's way fewer people responded to that then than the
Oh,
same
yeah.
group of people now who will message me and ask me, "Hey, can you help me with this?" Or, and I'll do randomly, I'll say, "Okay, five readings or a reading to the next 5 people who comment," or whatever, just to keep going and to keep doing things. And it's weird how it went from not so sure. I mean, I was told by my ex-husband that it was a novelty, and that was all. It's just a novelty. It's not real. And I was like, well, yeah, okay, X. But I don't mean to say anything bad. I don't mean to say anything bad. I really don't. I'm sorry about that. But what I mean is like, and maybe it was a novelty back then. And then now it's almost more the norm. Like I got to do a relaxing meditation at work with all my coworkers. And that wouldn't have been cool. I mean, go back 10 years, it probably wouldn't have been cool, right? But yet I had all my coworkers in the room doing a mindful meditation to relax and bring up the energy. And I couldn't believe I was actually allowed to do that. And then how many of them came up to me privately and said how nice it was to do that.
Mhm.
That's just stuff that you just don't talk about. So, I started talking at work. I'm like, yep, I do tarot. Yep. And I got written up at one job about 10 years ago for talking about Reiki and showing people, saying, hey, come here, I'll just put my hands on your shoulders and you'll feel it. Just to my coworkers, right?
Mhm.
And I got in trouble because the manager comes out, the office manager says, "You're scaring all the girls at the front desk because they're all strict Catholic and they think you're practicing witchcraft back here." I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" And she goes, "Well, I like the occult too, but not at work." And I'm like, "This is not
That's the problem
occult."
right there, in my opinion, though.
Mhm.
That right there is the problem, is because we allow, and here's the word, ignorance. Okay.
Mhm.
And I don't mean it with a connotation. I know it has a negative connotation, but I don't mean it that way. When we don't know, then
We're
freaking go have a
scared.
conversation.
Right.
Just
Don't be,
educating them. Yeah.
Right.
yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would have been like, no, let's have a conversation. Like, oh my gosh. You want to hear a fun one, Deanna?
Mhm.
You ready, Kim?
Yep.
When I was a high school teacher, I used to be a high school teacher.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. I used to teach high school. You ready? I literally, hello, everybody out there. Audience, are you ready for this? I got written up one time for having my students meditate.
I
Mm.
believe it.
Yeah, I started every single class with meditation. 5, 10 minutes, just a quick, and I do a guided meditation. It didn't really ever go longer than 10. I mean, it never went longer than 10. It was really like about that 5 to 7, maybe 8 minute mark.
Mhm.
Right? Maybe if it was, and you can feel when people are really in it, like towards the end of the school year, sure, maybe we got closer to 9 and 10 minutes, but really it wasn't any longer than that. Yeah, that was not an
Mhm.
adequate warm up. And he literally wrote me up for that.
Well,
Mm.
again, I
And
believe
I was
that.
like, are you kidding me?
But look at now. Now
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
Mm,
Now,
you
well,
still
okay,
can't do
not
that in
everywhere, maybe not at school, but
public. How about certain
it's
public
out there more.
schools? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
out
It's
there. It's
definitely better.
in general, the what we used to be called the new age movement is now
Mm, the
who we
norm.
are. Right.
Yeah.
It's more the norm than not the norm. I'm not saying that there's places you're going to go. I mean, I was kicked out of a church for being accused of hexing a church, okay? And that was
Wow.
only like 5 years ago. And that's a story
Wow.
for another podcast.
Yeah.
But um that was part of it. It was a big part of it.
Well, that was 4.5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You're
But
Mhm.
planting the seeds. You're planting the seeds. That's what
but the
we.
thing was, it was a spiritualist church. So what the
Mm,
heck? We
I
do
know.
right.
mediumship,
That's so
but
stupid.
whole nother story that I'm really trying to forgive everybody in the situation for. Um, but so there are pockets of people that are gonna say, I mean, I have relatives that are like, no, that's not, and then I have
Mm.
other relatives that are like, yeah, pull some cards for me, and you agree to disagree on with some people because it makes it life easier, but you see I'm seeing, but again, and I think I said this another time, and I can only speak for what I see, which is my corner of the world. I don't know what's going on in other countries. I think
Mhm.
similar things because the whole
Oh, yeah.
planet is evolving, but I can't speak specifically. But I know from what I see in my corner of the world, there's more out than in, but there are pockets of people who are going to say, no, that's wrong. No, that's witchcraft, whatever. That's fine. That's what those are the people that we're here to help heal. Doesn't mean
Mhm.
we have to change their mind. Doesn't mean we're trying to make them believe anything different. Only means that we're sending them the love and the healing so that when things keep moving, when things keep changing, they will be able to find it within themselves to change along with us and to come on the journey that we're all taking into the next dimension rather than maybe stay down in the third dimension and just do what you've always done instead of going
Yeah.
up and doing the higher level stuff, which we're all kind of doing now anyways, or
Yeah.
many of us are. Many of us are waking up to
So
it.
out of the spiritual closet. Loving
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Kim? Loving being out of the spiritual closet?
Oh, yeah, and it's nice to be able to speak freely about it, really freely about it.
Right.
Now, there's always
Right.
going to be people, like you said, they're judged, and it's not their place to move up yet, in that 3D if they want to stay that, and that's okay. They're
Mhm.
here.
That's fine.
They don't realize that they got a frequency. I listen to a lot to the cry on too. I
Mhm.
absolutely love listening to him, but some are just here, just sailing through this lifetime, and just are oblivious to everything else, and just here for the frequency. They don't realize they have that high frequency. They're just coasting through. And so you just like, okay, it's not your time. Like you said, you just send love to that, because it's like everybody's on their journey in a different path. It's just sometimes our paths cross, and there's a
And maybe
reason
they're
that we
here for
cross.
us. I'm sorry,
That
maybe they're
could
here for
be.
us too. I mean,
Hmm.
just as we're here for them, maybe they're here for us. And I don't want it to sound like it's an us or them thing because I don't want
Yeah,
to preach division, but
No, it's
we
not
have
about that.
people with different ways of thinking and we all can learn from each other, I think is
diversity.
Mm.
where that
Yeah.
comes from. Yes, yes,
But it
Hmm.
exactly.
starts with the conversations.
Yes.
Yes,
You
and planting
gotta
the seeds.
communicate. Mhm.
You're planting
Mhm.
the seeds. It may not do happen in this lifetime for them, but it will. In the
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
future. But that's what we're here for, and they're here to teach us too as well.
Mhm.
Everybody
Mhm.
has something to teach.
Yeah, and everybody has
Everybody.
something to learn.
Yeah,
Yep.
always, right? Just when you
Yep.
think you're about finished with something, you're like, "Great, I'm done." Like, boom, they hit you with something else. You're like, "Oh, I just
Yep.
give me a little break a little bit sometimes,
I've
I
occasionally."
given
know.
up on not learning. I have a new motto. Mine is, hmm, wait, now, of course, my brain just went blank. I have a whole new motto about learning. Okay, I'll come back to you. Wow, my brain really went so blank there
That's
for a
okay. It's
moment.
getting late. It's getting.
But
We've been on
yeah,
here a long time. But
I'm,
yeah, I mean,
oh,
live, love, and learn. That's what we're here
Yeah.
for. And I
live, love,
learned
and learn.
that like ages ago. I took a death and dying class back in the old days, and somebody came in to talk about. I think they had a near death experience. I was fascinated with death and dying since I can remember. So when I found a class in college, I took it. But
Mm,
and they said that they were told it's just to live, to love, and to learn. That's the only reason that we're here. And so that's our
yeah, live,
purpose,
love,
you
learn.
know?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
it.
It's in a nutshell.
Yep.
And I think that that's what we do. And we're all on different like Kim, I think you said we're on different frequencies or different paths or different wherever we are. Some of us aren't as on similar, we're all on some level, but maybe we don't all walk the exact same path because how
Right.
boring that would be.
Oh,
Um
Exactly.
that's what I say
so
all the time.
so we all have something to learn from each other. We all have something to teach. We all have love. And we're all just here to live throughout whatever it is we're going to live through. You are right, Ronnie. We do have some stuff coming up. I can see that. A lot of us
Hmm.
can see that. I don't think you need to be psychic to see all of it. Um, because that's what happens to the world. And I've said this before, when things start to go chaotic, people look to outside power, whether they look to
Mhm.
God, whether they look to whoever their religious figure is, or whether they go outside of traditional religion and look on a more spiritual path. And I think we're seeing more of that right now because religion is becoming part of the not religion itself, the some of the people are some people are using religion
Well,
as a
like we said
means for
last time,
power.
turning it to the
Hmm.
inside.
Right. We're turning to something else, whether it's looking within ourselves, looking into a higher power. I think this time there's a collective looking towards the new way. I don't know. I don't want to call it new age. I don't want to call it the new way. I don't know what to call it. Just this metaphysical spiritual path that we're on is just becoming more illuminated, I think,
Yeah.
for more
Mm.
people because people are seeing that light. And I'm not saying anything bad about any other religion. You can believe and have whatever religion you want. I'm completely okay with that. Um, but I think that there is more of a movement to look in a different way than your traditional religion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I
Just
think it's wonderful.
Yeah, and with everything, like things are going to come up, but some things have to be shed and dropped and shed for new things to come open, just like a new
Yep.
door to come open. You have to
Yep.
release
Mhm.
this in order to do this,
If the
to
door is
Mhm.
create that
behind a
movement.
wall, you have to knock the wall down. Yeah.
You got to get through it somehow.
Mhm.
All right. Real quick, you are right. I didn't realize where our time went because, this is what we do. So, Kim, hey, I'm not finished. Deanna, are you finished? Can she come?
No.
I mean,
We
like,
should do a part 2.
I was going to
I'd
say,
love
can
to
we
come
bring you
back. Yeah.
back for part two?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So then
That
we
would
will
be
see you next
wonderful.
week.
We will get a part 2.
I didn't finish my questions.
All
Oh, wow.
right.
We got,
I still have more questions because we were just I love our conversations.
This is
oh,
the
it's
dream
been wonderful.
weaving.
Thank you guys for having me on your podcast. I really enjoyed it.
We're so
Thoroughly
happy you're
enjoyed it.
here.
And
Yes,
Well, and you're
it's
this is
coming
nice
back
great.
next week.
yeah, it's nice to collaborate too as well, like-minded minds, and just
Mhm.
get the messages out there, and so everybody else don't think that they're alone, the ones that are just becoming aware, and just teaching them and educating them, and helping them along the way, showing them the road.
Yeah, we are all here. And, like I say all the time, if you're out there and you're listening, leave a comment. You have a question, leave a comment. We will answer you. We will find out what it is. If thing we're open to, well, be nice, please. But leave comments, like and share. And if you out there, like Romper Room, I see you in my magic mirror. Now I dated myself. If, if you out there, Ronnie, you're killing me over here laughing. If you out there have something that you want to share, hit us up. Hit us up. You do something cool. You're in this whole genre. You want to talk about something that is you're passionate about. Leave us a message. We'll talk. We'll do the
We're
best we
here.
can to get you on, because it's about sharing. It's about collaborating. It's about like-minded people coming together to create just more light, um, and to find ways for everybody to walk the path, however that may be. So yes, Kim, thank you. I look forward to continuing our conversation.
Yes.
And what do you guys say? You think we're about done?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
thank you, everyone. Look for Kim next week. We'll see you back here, same day, same time with Kim. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.